Okay, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Random Geek channel. And this is part 2 of my review of the 70 Smart Dashcam Pro. So what we're going to do is we're going to be going through the operating system and the actual menus for this device. What I have noticed when setting this up and going through the manual and downloading the manual from the website, which is exactly the same as the one in the box, it's very lackluster and bare bones. It doesn't tell you anything. The only thing it really tells you is how to set it up in your car and possible ways in which you can insert the wiring in your car to make sure that it's out of the way, basically putting it through the actual lining of the Alcantara of the vehicle, but doesn't go through operating menus, doesn't tell you even how to use it. So I'm going to make this video for those guys who have bought this or think about buying this, because I've had to figure this out over the last couple of days. So I'm using a different cable than from the one that I got in the box. I've just plugged it into a power bank, and the good thing is with any micro USB it's going to work. This camera is very simple in the fact that as long as you've got an SD card in there and there's power running it, it will automatically turn on and start recording. The camera on the actual side, you will notice that this is designed for left-hand drive vehicles, given the fact that the camera is on the actual left and most of the actual functions and the LED lights are trained for a driver sitting on the left-hand side of the car. That's fair enough because this is mainly for the European and the Asian markets. I think besides from Japan and Thailand, which are on the right, it's the same as in Australia. So I have found it a bit weird to actually use. I've actually moved the camera rather than straight in the middle of behind the back mirror. I moved it slightly to the right so I can see the actual screen and the lights. This light here will change color depending on what you're doing. If it's green, it's recording. If it's a bluish color, it's on standby but not recording as yet. And if it's a red, there's an error message. So obviously we got an error message because there's no micro USB card in it at the moment. The thing is with the camera is you do have to adjust that manually using your hands. It's set on a weird angle in the box. So when you set it up, you will notice that it will be on the actual windscreen on an angle, and you will have to manually adjust that. Also, when it's mounting the camera, is that because it's on an angle on your windscreen, you won't be looking at the screen directly. So this screen isn't standard LCD. It's 320 by 240, very standard on things like action cameras. They're not the best screens. So unless you're looking directly onto the screen, if you're slightly off center or if you're on an angle, the contrast and the viewing angle, it looks quite terrible, and I barely can make out what's on the screen, even when I'm actually driving. I do like to have the screen on all the time because then I can tell that it's actually on, rather than it having automatically turn off every now and then. Some people might like to actually turn it off to save power, but if you're running it through a cable via your cigarette lighter or via a power bank or a solar panel, which I'm actually doing, that actually charges the battery over time. Yeah, it's up to you how you want to do it in this case. Also with the LCD light, it's a bit hard to see in bright sunlight. Particularly in Australia, we have a lot of sunlight, very bright sunlight, and I find it a bit difficult to see if that's what color it is and if it's on. Sometimes I do have to shade it with my hand to actually see what's going on, or yeah. And also because it's designed for left-hand side actual vehicles, not so great. wish they could have removed that light somewhere else, maybe on the actual black panel here. Particularly with the black contrast, you should be able to see that a bit better. First things first, this is the power button, so you can turn it on and off, and this will just turn the screen on and off. It won't stop recording as long as there's power running through the system and that light is green, and if there's power running and there's an SD card available, it will continue to record. So be aware of that. This does not turn it off. You can reset the device by holding this down for 15 seconds, holding it down, and that will reset it to factory settings. Okay, the first actual button is the record button. So I do have the sound notifications on. I might turn that off later down the track. So that's to stop and start recording. So when you turn on your vehicle and there's power running through the cable, it would automatically start recording if there is an SD card in there. If not, so what you can do is, if you want to stop recording, you can actually press the actual button here, and that will stop recording. And you can also start a brand new recording by pressing that button. Remember that on this camera, it will record in 1 minute intervals, so it will create a brand new file every single 60 seconds. That's great if you are in an accident or you see an event and you know the time that it actually happened. You can go through the files and find that exact file, and you can through the file. It is very annoying if you do open it and you have a long drive. You're going to have hundreds of files in the SD card system. Also, recording on the SD card, there's multiple folders in the drive. There's your standard normal recording, there's an event folder, and I'll explain that when I talked about the second button. And also there's a photo, and I think there's a video or settings, I can't remember. So just keep a note of that. I'm not sure if the camera will allow me to go through the settings to around a micro SD card, so I'll try it. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to grab a micro SD card, I'm going to plug it in, and we'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Okay guys, we're back, and I've inserted a card, and as you can see, it's recording, and that light is green. So that tells you that the camera is on, it's recording, and it's all ready to go. So this is the screen and how it looks like. You've got 4 buttons responding to the menu here. See how it's recording the actual time and the date. I don't like how it's rearranged the date that way, and you can't change that in the menu, which I find pretty frustrating because we don't write it like that way where I live. Anyway, as I said before, you can stop recording, so recording is closed, and you can also restart an actual new recording there. Okay, the next one is your event button. So in case you are in an accident or you spot something very unusual, what you can do is record a short clip in the file, and it will save that in the event folder. So that's your emergency folder. It won't let you access those videos in the menu itself, and you won't be able to delete those menus. So it saves in a separate folder to stop you from deleting those files in the case that you're in an accident and you want to save those files. However, those files will delete if you do format the SD card, so but you have to go through the actual last menu here to actually do that. So we're going to press that now, and I'll show you what it does.
Recording emergency video.
So emergency video, and it will start recording the emergency video. You'll get this red bar filling up here, and it will record, I think, for roughly about 20 to 30 seconds, and it will save that file in a separate folder, and you cannot delete that. You will have to access those video files on a computer, and you can actually pull those off. So it does take a while. It's roughly about 20 to 30 seconds. I wasn't keeping track.
Recording complete.
Okay, so that file is actually saved. What you can do is,
Xiaomi stops recording.
if you access the viewing gallery here, it will turn blue, and that's to say that it stopped recording, and you're playing around with the actual settings on the camera. So as said, you've got your normal menu, your emergency video, so we can play that video that we've just recorded. You can access your photos, and you can also take photos from this menu. So this is how you take photos, and you just move the camera. So you've only got 3 settings there, really easy. So heading back to the main screen. The last one is your settings. This is the one that you'll be using the most. And first thing is your Wi-Fi hotspot. So how you activate this camera is you do have to download the app on the so there's a Google and a iOS app, and that's basically so you download it off the marketplace or the app store, and what it will do is it will create a Wi-Fi hotspot. So when you hook up to the app, it will ask you to activate the camera, and it will pass you an actual code. So you will use this to use the app and actually download videos into the actual camera memory. Your mobile phone memory. But remember that these videos will be compressed, and there won't be the full resolution. If you want the full resolution, you do have to take the SD card out and use that on your computer. Okay, I'm going to actually actually stop the video for a second because I need to change the memory card on my camera. I'll be right back. Okay guys, and we are back. So next thing we're going to talk about is the collision sensitivity. So you can change that to low or high, and that's all to do with your parking and 24-hour surveillance. So there's a built-in G sensor in there. So if you have your car parked and you've got the parking mode on, which you can turn off on the camera or in the app, if you're hit by an actual car, or if someone tries to damage your car, it will sense it and turn on the camera, and it will record here. Next option we've got is to format the SD card. So if you want to clear the SD card, you can do it through here. Remember, if you do format the SD card, it will delete everything, including your emergency file. So make sure that you transfer your video off the camera if you want to save those videos. Next thing going down, obviously system time, just to set your time and actual date. Very important because it will time stamp your videos with the time. If you do have the GPS module on, which I don't, it will record your coordinates and the speed that you're actually doing. So a bit of evidence there if you are passing those videos onto your insurance company, or if you do see an accident, or you do have to pass a video to the police, if there was a call out for a case or whatever, and they're asking for dash cam footage, that's going to be very helpful for law enforcement as well. But remember, your videos will be dependent on setting the actual timeout straight off the bat. Next thing is always screen on. I like to keep that on because I can see that it's recording and it's actually on. Given the angle and the lighting, it's pretty hard to see, so I'll leave it on. Alright, next thing that we're going to talk about is okay. So I believe that setting you can change that to 30 seconds, 1 minute, always on. I'll just leave it always on. Okay, so we're going to advanced settings. So this is where it gets interesting. So in advanced setting, so power on Wi-Fi. So develop only if you want to turn it on, the Wi-Fi on always when there's knows that there's power running through the camera. I only like to put that on if you're using the app. I find the app a bit basic, so I will go through the app later on, but we're just going through the camera at the moment. Alright, next thing is video coding. So this is pretty interesting. So obviously records in MP4 format. You've got 2 options here. You've got 264 and 265. I leave it on 265. It's the newer and better codec. It will record it at higher resolutions. File sizes, it should be more efficient, but I noticed that file sizes are pretty much the same. The thing is, you will get the higher frame rates and video resolutions using 265. If you switch it over to 264, you only have access to Full HD and 720p. So if you want to save a bit of space, if you're recording at low resolution, so obviously the file size is going to be smaller. But given that these dash cams, you do want it at the highest resolution possible, because you want to capture all the details, and particularly the license plates of the cars that have caused the incident or are causing the problem. And you want to be able to see that at not just close, not those vehicles that are close to your car, but those that are far away as well. So do keep that in mind when you are choosing your resolution. So at least 1080p or above, I would recommend. So this is where I have a bit of an issue. So this dash cam records at the most weirdest resolution I've seen. So this is 2592 by 1944p. That is a super weird resolution, and I've had to look at the video at the resolution. It's super clear. Don't get me wrong about that. In terms of the resolution, it's closer to a 4x3, but not just quite. The image is a bit squashed on the vertical scale. I don't really like it, and it will be a pain in the ass for video editing later down the track with my next videos, which I will show some real well done usage of the camera. I don't really like it, so what I'm going to do is I want to switch this down to the next, which is your standard 2560 by 1440p, and that's going to be at a nicer resolution, aspect ratio, so I think that's 16:9 or 16:10, I can't remember, but that's going to be like a lot easier, and 1440p, plenty perfect resolution. I believe the file size is going to be a bit smaller, so I might change that now. I have found that highest resolution setting, if it's crystal clear, it's not in an aspect ratio that is useful, and the image does look a bit squashed. Don't really like it, but it is there. Also, to my videos, for the actual footage anyway, I'm going to be showing most of the videos in 1440p anyway, max. So that might help with the actual downscaling. But if someone did the video footage in my later videos on this device look a bit weird, that's because of that weird aspect ratio. So just a heads up. Also with the actual videos, it will timestamp in the left hand corner at 70 mi. I do find it annoying, and you can't not turn it off. But at least you know which device it was recorded on, and it will timestamp the actual date and time on there. If you've got the GPS module with the latest update, I have been reading, it will tell you the GPS position and the speed of travel. I have reading up about the GPS module. I did order this with the GPS module. I never got it, and I got ripped off about $20. So make sure if you are ordering this, and if you are ordering, and if you are looking for the GPS module, make sure that your seller is selling it in the actual box. If not, I have read that a lot of people have found that the GPS module is not as useful as they state. Most people do tend to turn off the driver assist module's option off. Also, because I've got a GPS built into my car infotainment system, I don't find a really good use for the GPS anyway, because I've already got one there. I know pretty much where I am most of the time, so probably not so helpful. And in the event of a car accident, I take photographs of the surrounding area anyway, so I know exactly where I am. But that's something that you guys have to decide. Speaker volume, I might turn it down actually, it is quite annoying. Let's go low. Actually, turn it up just a bit more because I'm hard of hearing. Let's turn that to moderate. Yeah, it's better. Okay, so there's a power on sound, so you know where it will turn on. There's parking surveillance with your 24-hour monitoring. I will turn that on actually. And you can turn to the camera time. And let's turn it off, so 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So that would turn off the actual camera if you do have parking surveillance. 20 minutes is fine. Sensitivity, let's go high, just in case. But I do park my car out in the street sometimes, especially when I'm driving around for work. Okay, let's get back. Let's leave that on. Okay, so as I see driver assist, that's disabled by default because the GPS module is not on at the moment. Yeah, so that basically gives you lane keep assist. So if you're veering off your lane, it will give you a warning if you're veering off the lane, and also if you're driving too close to the vehicle ahead of you. People, please don't tailgate people. Not safe, especially if you're on the highway. One of my pet peeves in other drivers. Don't do it. Just keep away from the person ahead of you, especially when you're driving on the highway. If someone slams on the brake, you have no way of actually avoiding that. Even if you slam on the brakes, depending how fast you're traveling and how heavy your vehicle is, you will need a considerable distance to brake. And it's just a matter of simple physics here. I'm a little maths nerd, so please don't do it. Anyway, I hope that helps everyone. Also, to the actual camera, if this power is still running through, and especially if you've plugged it into the cigarette lighter, in most cars you will turn off the engine and it will turn off eventually. The 500 milliamp hour battery in there is good for about 30 minutes. So the camera that's in here is very similar to ones that you find in action cameras, and a 500 milliamp battery it lasts 30 minutes. That's pretty normal in that case. So it will turn off when you turn off the actual engine. I tend to just unplug it straight off the bat, so it will turn off. Because remember, this only turns off the screen, it doesn't turn off the device. There's no button to turn off the device. This is as simple plug and play as you can imagine. But yeah, so it's just a heads up. If you want, you can also pull out the memory card, especially if you're parking on the street. It is going to get hot in the car. Most vehicles, if you park out in bright sunlight, will reach up to 50 to 60 degrees. This camera is suitable for 56 degrees. Not sure how durable your memory cards are, but if you don't want crop files, I recommend you probably take them out. I normally just take it out every now and then, especially when I'll be parking out in bright sunlight, just to protect the memory card. But remember, just leave it. You do have to leave it in there if you are using parking surveillance, because there is no built-in memory here. Anyway, that's enough for this video here. Hope you guys found that helpful. If you did find it helpful, give us a like, leave us a comment or question if you have any further questions. As you will notice in my previous videos with the previous comments, I do get back as fast as I can to those videos, and I answer those questions as best as I can. So if you are after a little bit of help, I'm willing to actually give you guys a hand. So far, it's working pretty well. It's not the most perfect little device, but we'll go through that with some video samples. And so this is going to be a multi-part review, like most of my videos. We're going to go down dirty little details on pretty much everything I do, really. Anyway, so to give us a thumbs up, smash that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm busy recording video samples, particularly in different lighting sources for this little camera, because any camera can shoot in normal lighting conditions. When I'm more interested in bad lighting conditions, and also harsh lighting conditions, and probably night mode, I'm really curious to see how this goes. Anyway guys, see you guys in the next video. Cheers.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
Alright guys, I'm back again. I forgot to tell you that there's actually 3 other menus in the system. There's a system update, and so the system update, pretty much you can update the firmware, and you do that via the app. And the next button is the restore factory settings. So if you have an issue, you can restore the settings and bounce pretty much the camera and the current version of the software. So I probably should go and update the actual settings, but we'll do that. Anyway, sorry about that. I forgot that the menu kept on going on. Alright, cheers guys, bye.